This is Mongolian Mindset, and today me and PC are going to be typing Paul McCartney. It's gonna be an interesting one, man. It's gonna be interesting. We use Linda Berens interaction styles and temperament combined with cognitive functions. We have a breakdown of all of these on the channel. Just go to the playlist, how to find anyone's personality type. We also have the cognitive functions broken down one by one. I think those are more in depth. And then we have me and Christian just doing a masters, going over all those. I highly recommend watching those videos. We do also have a breakdown of all of John Beebe's stuff as well. I mean, if you want to be like good at this stuff, you got to watch those videos. But if you want more and hands-on, in depth, one-on-one with us, you can join our Discord. Okay. And if you want to have somebody type by us, you have to join the Discord. Everything starts through running from joining Discord. If you're not on our Discord, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. I think this is definitely a place you want to say you were there first, you know, and you're one of the I guess you wouldn't be called original member anymore because we've been around for a while now. But you want to get in there because I think in the future we're going to be the best. And you guys know we are relentless on our sourcing. We are relentless on our information to make sure it's correct. There's no one I think that is even close to us. I talk to other people, and it's just not there, man. It's like, bro, what are you reading, bro? Like, what are you reading? Like, where'd you get this bullshit from? So, and you know me, I'm gonna call you out if I see a hole in some shit, I'm gonna call you the fuck out. Um, PC, you want to say anything before we get into this on Paul McCartney?
Other than that, he used to be part of the Beatles. I think there was Sergeant Pepper. Went off, did his own individual stuff. I think he's done some philanthropy. He's pretty much known as being one of those guys who got divorced and had hundreds of millions taken off him by his fucking wife.
No shit.
Um, yeah, other than that, that's the only things that really come to mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I think he has been known for like being a very great songwriter or something like that.
yeah.
Something on those
Both him
lines.
and Lennon,
Yeah,
both him and Lennon were pretty much like the songwriters for the Beatles.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
yeah, I think he's written a lot of stuff, even like maybe like early 2000, probably early to mid 2000s that people don't even know that he wrote. So um, that's amazing to be able to still stay relevant at an advanced age. Because if you see with a lot of music stuff, it's hard for a lot of people to reinvent themselves. A lot of people just die because they can't reinvent themselves. But he, even though I don't know when the Beatles came around, what, the 70s? Was the 70s?
60s, 70s, yeah.
Yeah, and still being
It
able
was
to.
it was black and white television, so
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. But being able to still like write music that, people would want to use today is insane, right? It just shows like his, mastery of that. It's gonna be interesting. I don't know his type, PC. You got any guess what you think Paul McCartney's type is just by um name and whatnot? Anything?
not so much by name, man, but I see a lot of like singer-songwriters are usually ISFP or ENFP or something. But I mean, off the top, I couldn't tell you.
All right, well, the dummy base over here, personality dummy base, has him as an ESFJ, and you guys know they are
Okay.
the broken clock. They only write twice a day, so and that's a lot of votes. Holy shit, 2K votes
So
total.
ESFJ or ISFP.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So interesting, guys.
Which
So
is a bit fucking weird because um actually that means they've got two different types that don't even share a single cognitive function.
yeah,
That's yeah, that's
well,
okay. That
well,
means either one or both are completely off.
yeah. So guys, ESFJ, we've only got a couple of those on the channel. I think it was one of the princes or some shit. He was an ESFJ. I think we did Phil Collins. I think he was an ESFJ.
Morgan Freeman.
We haven't done him on the channel, but
Yeah,
he
no,
was,
me and you, not on the channel. Yeah, yeah, my
yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. But we don't really get a lot of those guys. So what they are is they're informing, they're initiating in their journey focus slash movement slash process, right? They're affiliative, and their systematic slash structure, and the concrete guys, the TIFE and the SINE. The thing about these guys, they lead with FE. So a lot of FE, a lot of FE. So if he meets those, we will type him ESFJ. If he doesn't, we'll find his actual real personality type, guys. Okay.
Well, if this guy is an FE hero, we should be seeing a lot of like, especially with the interview, we should see a lot of him trying to, I don't know,
Accommodate others.
uh yeah, yeah, not even just accommodating others. It's like with Mark Henry, like he's asking him how he's doing, and immediately he's then talking to him and asking how his wife and kids are. It's almost like that's the only thing that's really in their fucking minds half the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, I
yeah,
got a ESFJ coworker, and I have an ESFJ coworkers, and holy shit, they are literally. When I say people are a slave to their hero function, they literally are a slave to their hero function. Like they always got to do the extra thing for everybody else. It's almost like holy shit. I'm like, bro, you don't have to do all that. No, 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 it's okay. And I'm like, what the fuck? I would never do it. So,
yeah.
um, but it's amazing to see, man. They like, or even Jerry, like, I swear to God, sometimes like he'll get to the gym like 30 minutes for me, and this motherfucker will wait in the car until I pull up there and get out the car because he know it feels better for somebody to walk in than solo. And I'm just like, what the fuck? Who would do that? I mean, I would have been in there doing fucking cardio for 30 minutes. But like people do the extra miles, man, and that's why these people are memorable, right? Because a lot of times it's about how you make somebody feel. That's what people get wrong, especially in the NT crowd, and that's mostly our channel. It's about how you make somebody feel a lot of time, right? So, uh-oh. PC went with PC. What'd you go with again? We're gonna hold PC to the
I,
fire,
s-
ladies and
I
gentlemen.
said either ENFP or ISFP, but that's just from like artist stereotype. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at that face. What you thinking, PC? ESFP, ISFP. Where you going with PC?
Actually, I'm not really getting anything from the face yet. Yeah.
All right, all right. Oh, PCs. We're sticking him at ISFP, ladies and gentlemen.
World tour, you did about, I think, half and half, half post-Beatles and half Beatles material. What made you finally decide, yeah, I'm going to put a healthy dose of this material into my act?
It was time, really. The reason all of us in the Beatles shied away from Beatles material directly after the breakup was that I think we all thought we've got to try and prove to ourselves that there's life after the Beatles. You know, because it's not easy to have been Charlie Chaplin and then want to branch out into a serious career, because, you know, even he had problems with that. You know, people still preferred the charming little cheeky tramp, you know. And so we all had that problem to try and overcome. So we all shied away from Beatle material as a way of doing it. But time, you know, so much time has gone by. It's now kind of 20 years since we made that decision. And I just thought, when I was thinking about the tour, I just thought, if I was going to his show, you know, imagining myself as
Uh-oh.
an audience.
Imagining myself. I'm gonna say a what if situation there. I would say abstract is what I would just nail it for. I mean, you don't have to like be like, oh, that's a what if in each statement, but just hit it for abstract. He's putting himself in a different shoe to get there. And I got pretty strong feeling about this guy, PC. I think you're fucking wrong, man. Already, man. I'm
Yeah, I
feeling
probably was. As I said, it wasn't actually built on anything. So
yeah, I just fucking with you, man. You know I gotta give you hell, PC. I gotta give you fucking hell. All right.
Member. What would I like to hear him do? And the inevitable songs come in, you know, like, Hey Jude would be good. Well, how about Sergeant Pepper? Well, hey, could he do Yesterday, or She's Leaving Home, or whatever?
Brainstorming.
yeah,
Brainstorming any. He's
yeah.
brainstorming. That's NESI right on the spot, baby. And that's just like so quick and fast. I'm thinking any Dom. I'm thinking any Dom here. I'm going Big Daddy Dom any.
We left quite a few out, but I just thought, yeah, you know, there's enough water gone under the bridge. There's no painful memories. Near the
Actually, you know
breakup,
who he
it
looks
was
like
just
to me?
painful.
Oh,
He kind of looks like Ricky Gervais minus the fucking facial hair.
I don't know who the fuck that is.
The comedian.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, shit, should we look him up? Should I look him up? I don't know how to spell that guy's name, so I'm about to butcher him online in front of everybody. But what is his name? Ricky
Ricky, Rickyger. Yeah, there it is right there.
Gervais.
Yes, it's a French name, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, PC, but your eyes might be fucked up, boy.
You can't, you kind of, as I said, without the facial hair, kind of gives me that fucking look. But we can keep going.
Yeah. Ish. 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 Ish.
You're just singing something with so many memories. It's like, I likened it later to kind of like singing the ex-wife's songs when you've had a divorce. Yeah. No way, buddy. Ooh, you know, no way is she going to catch me doing that one. You know, so, you know, we all made that decision independently to do that. But I say, there was enough time gone by, so I just thought, well, it might be good to do them. So we started rehearsing them. And
Progression. I'm getting
Actually,
progression. And I'm getting TI. This guy's ENTP.
yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say,
He's
actually, that's the
ENTP.
the face that I was thinking of. It wasn't actually Ricky Gervais. There's a guy from a comedy thing called Balls of Steel, UK,
Hmm.
and he's got a thing called Big Gay Following, and he's got the exact same face.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I don't know what the actual guy's actual fucking name is. But
I
yeah,
mean,
they're fucking doppelgangers. Yeah.
yeah, I'm getting progression, any that's how abstract, informative. But let's keep going, guys. I think this guy's an ENTP. I think Paul McCartney's ENTP.
great fun because I hadn't done them for so long, been keeping steering clear of them.
Yeah.
Suddenly I was able to kind of sing Hey Jude after millions of years and really enjoyed it. Sergeant Pepper, I'd never ever done that, only on the vocal take.
You see, that's what people forget. After the San Francisco concert, I guess around 66, the Beatles are a studio band, and maybe some early rock videos, as we would call them now, through the rearview mirror. But Sgt. Pepper, Hey Jude, Get Back, those have never been performed in concert.
That's right. You know, we never did them. So it was great to rediscover them because they were actually fresher than my contemporary material because I'd been doing that. Suddenly there were these kind of songs that are really nice to do. That was the other decision. I mean, if you've got Hey Jude, you can get the crowd going, nah, 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 nah. And it's great, you know, and you've got like, 60,000 people doing that. It's a great thing to do.
You find, maybe to your surprise, moved you the most while you performed it on stage?
I think really the only thing that really happened, because most of the time, I don't get that moved because I'm thinking of words. You know, it's like an actor in a very sort of dramatic part. You're really thinking of your next line. You're trying to remember where I walk next. You know, there's a lot of that goes on, even in a music show. So you don't get that involved. But there was one moment really in Hey Jude, because I hadn't done it for so long. There's one line that always reminded me of John, and that used to get me kind of emotional. You know, when
One line that reminded me of John, so is that SI? It's definitely SI. You know, definitely
Could
SI.
be, yeah.
creep up on me and sort of catch me unawares. There was a line, the movement you need is on your shoulder, which when I was playing John the song, I basically sort of wrote that one. On the tour, I kind of do my Beatles songs, you know. So I was playing John this song when I wrote it, and I'm going, hey June, and he's going, yeah.
I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm playing June, da, 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 SI. You and he recanted the memory, he went to his experience.
Yeah. And I said, the movement you need is on your shoulder. I said, I'll be changing that. You know, it's stupid, you know, it sounds like a parrot. And he said, you won't, you know. He said, it's a bloody great line. I said, no, that's stupid. The movement you need is on your shoulder. What does that mean? He said, I know what it means. He said, that's probably the best line in it, man. So I said, great. You know, and when you've got a collaborator like John, you leave it in, you know, because if he says it's great, it's great. It's like, you know, if I insist on a line in one of his songs, I could persuade him. We can persuade each other. We respect each other's opinion. So when I got to that line, occasionally, the movement you need is on your shoulder, you know, and it was quite occasionally a bit emotional to sort of sing that.
You said in a Playboy interview that's probably more than a decade old now that all of you, and maybe especially you because you were the primary collaborator, coveted John's approval. And you were quoted as saying he was the oldest, which is indisputable.
No, it isn't. He wasn't. Ringo was the oldest.
But he was the older of the, I guess, of the two of you.
Older.
Direction immediately. Bam!
The older. Right. That's correct. That is correct. Let's get the chain of progression
get the old
here.
thing here, you know.
Old, older,
Ringo,
oldest.
very old. John, senile. Me, ancient, but a little less ancient. No, go ahead.
So anyway, and also quoted as saying that he was the smartest and the quickest wit. Were you being kind, or was that true?
No, I certainly think that was true. I certainly think John was the quickest wit. There was no doubt about that, no contest. That was definitely true. And we did covet his, respect, his attention and stuff. I think, having said that, I wouldn't mind betting he coveted ours. We don't think of that. You never know. I just know what I felt. I don't know what he felt.
That's
and John was not very forthcoming about.
Yeah, that is perspectives there. Yeah, he flipped that shit quick, didn't he? God damn. But that any flip, you gotta be ready for it, boy. It come quick and fast.
Having said that, I wouldn't mind betting he coveted ours. We don't think of that. You never know. I just know what I felt. I don't know what he felt. And John was not very forthcoming about what he felt. He was quite a private person, and you'd only ever see it in tiny little instances, I remember once, one of the things I remember about John was silly little things. You don't remember all the great big moments. They just went by in a flash, meeting the Queen, hi there, gone, But you remember stupid little things. I remember we were kind of arguing once about something musical or something. I remember John just kind of taking his glasses down and sort of saying, it's only me, and putting them back up again. So maybe he did have similar feelings towards us that we had to him, but he just didn't make it perhaps as obvious. But we were Lennon fans, definitely. He was a great guy.
You were an ex-Beatle by the time you were 29, so this extraordinary rush of worldwide fame and extraordinary experiences had happened to you and John Lennon as very young men. And ever since that time, people, some with knowledge, some without knowledge, have speculated about the nature of that collaboration, the nature of that relationship. What sense are you able to make of it now?
Well, I think in life it's not that easy to analyze your relationships with people. Not just John. I think with anyone it's not that easy. And as you say, when fame's in there as one of the factors, it can get even more complicated. But I always feel quite lucky having I had a really great family in Liverpool. I had great parents, and I have quite a secure childhood. I never realized it at the time, but talking to someone like John later and hearing about his childhood, when his father left home when he was 3 and things like that, boy, I don't know what I'd have done if that had happened to me. So I think that helped me just to sort things out and to sort relationships out. Just my kind of...
He's TI user, man. I mean, he's TI.
Yeah, but that was rather informing.
Yeah, I mean, he's informing. He's TIFE. He's abstract. He's progression. He's ENTP.
Liverpool upbringing, because
I think he is definitely probably Enneagram 6 here, man, because he doesn't seem super assertive. He doesn't seem super withdrawing, and he does seem more compliant. So the compliant types are 1, 2, and 6. Yeah, I'm brushing up on my Enneagram PC.
Pretty much feet on the ground people and very earthy people I come from, so if there's any bull going around, it gets found out fairly quickly, so I think I've got a good antenna for that.
It's easy to see how these images take hold.
It's crazy how people are just able to just play on words so well, man. It's amazing, man.
Sitting here talking to you, a man I hadn't met until half an hour ago. You're accessible, you're open. John seemed to have more of an air of danger, and people equate that with an artistic temperament. And so the easy compartments happen. Paul's the melody maker. John's the artistic soul of the Beatles. And people forget that, yeah, Paul wrote Yesterday, and he wrote The Long and Winding Road, but he also wrote Helter Skelter, and Why Don't We Do It in the Road? He wrote Day Tripper. How much does it bother you still that people don't have the full picture?
It doesn't really bother me too much. It's a natural thing that happens that. I was actually just talking to someone before about that. I think the only way I could get the kind of edge John had would be to have a different childhood. And I certainly wouldn't have wished for that.
And
John had a real bad time in his childhood. As I say, his father left
that
home.
that's a what if right there.
Huh?
Straight what if.
Yeah, man, he's hilarious, bro. He's like, fuck that shit, bro. To be like him, all that, had a shitty childhood, and fuck that. I ain't going through that.
That happens there. I was actually just talking to someone before about that. I think the only way I could get the kind of edge
Hood.
John had would be to
Yeah,
have a different childhood. And I certainly wouldn't have wished for that. John had a real bad time in his childhood. As I say, his father left home when he was 3. His mother didn't. His mother lived with someone down the road. He didn't live with his mother, although he idolized her. He lived with his aunt and uncle. Then the uncle died. John started to think he's got a jinx, and any men he lives with leave rather suddenly. And I think John was a very frightened person about that. His first marriage didn't work out. So he had a lot of pain, inside himself that I didn't have. So, I mean, the only alternative for me is to wish for a painful life, which I'm not going to do. If that's what I require.
But this is the first ENTP to say the opposite. Like, bro, like, fuck that shit, bro. It's hilarious. He's like, fuck that shit. Most ENTP people just like, suffering is the way. Meanwhile, they're fucking crying somewhere, like, with the suffering is the way. And fucking Paul McCartney, like, fuck that shit, bitch.
About that. His first marriage didn't work out. So he had a lot of pain, inside himself that I didn't have. So, I mean, the only alternative for me is to wish for a painful life, which I'm not going to do. If that's what I require to be a great artist, then I don't want to be a great artist.
Maybe then the best situation is not to have to live the life, but to have him there as a sounding board. To have
I
him.
think that was what was the great thing.
Have both of you kind of.
And, you have to remember me as a sounding board for John,
Sure.
because that is the thing I say to people, if John had thought that I was rubbish, he didn't suffer fools, gladly. He wouldn't have worked with me as long as we did. We wouldn't have been able to do what we did if he didn't. We enjoyed it. We sat down. We really enjoyed each other's company. We're really good for each other, too. Because John, as you say, was more the sort of acid wit, the sort of... I mean, I was writing the song, a song off Sergeant Pepper. And John, it was always great this way. I was writing the song, and he's sitting by the side. He had a guitar, I was on piano. I'm going, it's getting better all the time. And he's going, it couldn't get much worse. And you go, oh, get it down. That's fantastic. And let's say, I don't care what people think or how they analyze it. I think if John was here now, I don't think he'd say he was the only one in the Beatles or that he was the soul of the Beatles. I think he'd admit that it was a pretty equal affair, really. But, having said that, he was great. And I'm more than proud to have worked with someone like him. It was a great experience, you can imagine.
I've read, and we all hope it's true, that you more or less reconciled before he was shot.
Yeah, that was really the great thing about the whole thing, because I don't think George did. We were often having arguments around about that time. And, business things, and you'd sort of ring up and we'd shout at each other and slam the phone down, and it got pretty difficult. But very luckily, I think, a couple of months before he died, we'd got really some good conversations on the phone. I'd just be ringing him. It was around about the time when he was doing role reversal with Yoko. He was the house husband.
Mm-hmm.
This is, John did that for a little while. So I remember ringing him and I was saying, what's happening? What are you doing? He said, well, I'm just padding around here in my robe. I've just put the cats out. I'm just going to make some bread. And I've got the washing up to do, love. Oh, dear me, a woman's work is never done, That was great. So I can relate to all that. That's just good old stuff. And it was great to relate to John on that kind of level, which I find
FE?
very easy. So we really did. We reconciled.
Relating, FE, right? Relating,
Yeah,
affirming.
he's talking about relating. Yeah.
Yeah, relating, affirming, FE. I mean, we got this guy, TIFE. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and kill some shit off the board. Mm. Oh shit, you already did it. All right, guys. So yeah, we're gonna look at another interview just for fun. Um, but yeah, Paul McCartney's ENTP. PC said ISFP, personality database said ISFP guys, and they fucked up. But I know that's why you got to cut on the interview. You can clearly see this guy can like brainstorm like nobody's fucking business. So Let's get even younger version. Oh shit, we got black and white. Lord have mercy.
Money got making more and more figures, bigger and bigger. You can't. No matter how good people are, no matter how well they do, they don't just stay up on the top all the time. There's got to be ups and downs. And I think, you know, the difficulty was to do anything after the Beatles that would look even remotely valid.
Are you at all concerned about what the critics say?
No, he said, lying through his teeth. Not at all.
No, he said
No,
he's
don't
reached
even
for the
notice
review.
it. No, no. Oh. Yeah, I'm too concerned, probably. But you can't help it. You're human, you know, you see papers. And if, since you're a kid, you read papers and sort of take them for what they are, if they're talking about you, well, you know it. You can't help it, you know. And it's probably worse when they hit on something that you're a little insecure about anyway.
But my God, I mean, Paul McCartney certainly has no reason to be insecure.
No, I'm insecure. Just like everyone. You know, a lot of people said, oh, you're crazy. I mean, and I think we were, too. We just met, and it was in all that kind of euphoria of just having met the first couple of years. And I think I just kind of said to her, look, you know, I mean, I'm going to be doing music and stuff. Do you fancy being up there with me? You know, can you imagine that when the kind of curtain comes up and there's all people there? Could you handle that? And do you fancy it? Well, yeah, you know, sounds all right to me. Well, truth, I just wanted Linda up there, that's all. Here with me now. Not here with me, but here with me.
Has it been at all difficult to find a balance between being a good family man and a good music man?
I don't really think it has, actually. I think, you know, things have got to work out right. You know, you got to be lucky, find the right woman and stuff, you know.
In 1980, the murder of John Lennon affected him deeply. We'll hear him talk about that in just a few moments. But we start today's session with something that happened earlier that same year with Paul.
You wound up 9 days in the clink.
And I ended up 9 days in the clink, yes. Quite a rich experience of life.
Embarrassing experience? Angry experience?
No, worrying, really, frightening. I mean, if it had just been me in a group or something, I don't think it would have been so bad. I took the wife and kids, see, like I always do. So Daddy got busted. Where's Daddy? It's gone away for the evening. So I was imagining Linda and the kids, a little house on the outskirts of Tokyo, the kids being brought up in Japanese schools. You know, that was going to be it. I thought, oh. You know, it just was suddenly warp 5, you know. Yeah. Tokyo and stuff, you know. I just was trying to imagine that, you know. Is this serious? You know, am I really going to be in jail for 7 years and making mailbags and
stuff? You know,
for
a lot of critics, it went hand in hand, rock and drugs.
Mm-hmm. I don't really know about everyone else, you know. I mean, for me, it used to be a lot more widespread. You know, it's kind of eased off.
Is it a burden to be the person that everybody's looking to, anxious to see what he does?
I try and not think about all that stuff. It's one of the reasons I really try and lead like a normal kind.
John Lennon's relationship with McCartney
this
barely
is like hopping all over. I hate that. So whatever.
We were talking very friendly to each other. As I say, I'm not sure, but I think George may have a slight regret that I don't know whether he did get that conversation in. Listen, I mean, you know, whether he did or not, he knows John loved him. I mean, we you know, for all our craziness, we loved each other. We were real good buddies. But that's the way that good buddies, you know, they occasionally hate each other. It's the way of any great love affair or any family or anything. It's not all roses.
You don't need me to tell you this, but I guess for the benefit of the audience, then to get your reaction. If somebody didn't, mixed in with it all, genuinely love somebody, genuinely care about their feelings about them, they wouldn't go to the lengths, in whatever strange way, that John did to lash back at you. They wouldn't hold a pig on the cover to parody you holding a sheep and ram. They wouldn't, you know, call your stuff rubbish or write, how do you sleep? They wouldn't do it.
No, I think that's right. You know, I think that's right. I think he was very hurt. There were people turning him against me It was his way of defending himself. He was quite pissed off about the McCartney bandwagon, as he once called it. You know, oh bloody, you know, he's getting on all the telly, he's selling records. He was a jealous guy. You know, but
I would say there, like he could have bashed him there, and he didn't. He could have bashed him. Probably know he probably knows a lot of shit he could have shitted on him with. He didn't. Shows to his development here, ladies and gentlemen.
I understood that. That was John.
And one thing I can say about Paul McCartney is he's fucking extremely happy, which is you see a lot of ENTPs that are fucking diving in and out of depression left and right. He seems pretty happy, but you know that could be a facade for us.
You love it or you leave it. And I stuck with it for many, many years. And I think we would have all continued the Beatles, but Yoko came along. John fell wildly in love with her. He needed a big, big change in his life, and he got it. You know, he came to live in New York. He kind of threw over all his English contacts and everything. And you know, you can't blame him. That's what he wants to do in his life. So we had to kind of fade into the background to allow them to have their relationship. What are we going to do, ringing him up? Hey, John, you know, hey, come and see me. Leave Yoko. You know, I mean, that obviously never going to happen. So you had to let him do what he wanted, you know, and he
Had to let him do what he wanted. Let him follow his desires. Any.
did, you know, and he enjoyed it.
How often did you walk around and a melody or some kind of snippet of a thought went through your head and you said, that's better for John's voice, or this would be good if the two of us could work on it together?
Well, that still happens, obviously, you know. You get an idea which is sort of Lennon-esque, then you can't help thinking, you know, and particularly me who's worked with him so much, you can't help thinking, boy, you know, we could really develop this one. Unfortunately, I now have to just do it my way, as the man said.
Yeah.
You know, which is okay. There's nothing I can do about it. You know, great, sure, if John was here, I'd much prefer to develop them with him, but I don't have that luxury.
Speaking of my way, that segues into the next thing. I think Sinatra once did something, which of course was George Harrison's
That'd be a good one to type.
song.
Frank Sinatra.
I think he announced it as my favorite Lennon-McCartney song, too. Thanks, Frank.
And didn't Ella Fitzgerald do All You Need Is Love? Or
She did Can't Buy Me Love.
Can't Buy Me Love, okay. And Otis Redding put Day Tripper into one of his sets. The point I'm getting to is there are probably hundreds of thousands of Beatle covers. Which ones do you like the best? And which ones do you say, please, no, I'll buy it back from you?
I'm not telling you those ones, because the artists are probably still around. But the ones I love, there's a Roy Redmond version of Good Day Sunshine. It's not really known by many people, but I love that. I like Ray Charles's Eleanor Rigby. I tend to like the black versions, just because I like black vocalists, you know, and I like what they do with the song, and they funk it up a bit, you know. And it's always, plus it's a great honor, you know, for a kid like me who started off totally idolizing a record like What Did I Say by Ray Charles.
Yeah.
To have him do my song, I mean, you know, that's something special. Stevie Wonder, We Can Work It Out. There's some, which is funny, actually. I mean, I don't know if it's anything to do with it, but I know when we met Bob Dylan years later, you know the bit in the middle that goes, I can't hide, I can't hide, I can't, woo, oh, you. He's saying, oh, man, he said, I thought that was, I get high, I get high, I get high. So maybe that was something to do with it. Say, no, Bob, you know, it's I can't hide. I don't know, you know, it just caught the imagination, I think, that record. Suddenly then all the others got interested. You know, She Loves You became a hit all over again, and Loves Me Too. We ended up with like the top 5 at one point.
See, even that early stuff, before you can see the clear departure into more artistic material, before Revolver, before...
Done?
Yeah, man.
All right. All right, guys. So we got Paul McCartney as an ENTP. Shocker, shocker, shocker. Personality database, you were still in the hunt with ESFJ. I mean, it's pretty fucking close. Yeah. But yeah, subtype here. What are you thinking, PC?
Say double creative.
You think double creative? I don't think so.
Well, creative maybe harmonizing. Or could he be creative normalizing? But he doesn't give me any fucking like dominant vibes at all.
I'm not getting dominant from him, so you can kill that. What about harmonizing?
Yeah, could be harmonizing.
Harmonizing. Seems to be more harmonizing.
So
Uh,
what, HC or CH?
I think HC. Yeah, HC.
Okay.
Yeah, I think yeah he because he stick with the FE. Maybe that's the reason why people typed him ESFJ. But he's abstract, so if he's abstract, um, he's not ESFJ. Sorry. Enneagram, I'm thinking he's 6W7. Um, six. He's the six. What are you thinking? SO?
Hmm. Yeah, I guess that would make sense. Yeah.
SO slash SP.
Yeah.
He ain't giving up that goddamn safety, boy. Well, he ain't giving up that motherfucking safety. You heard what he said. Um, I would say he's above average ENTP, man. He's above average. Um, he's definitely like super happy, and that's a
Hmm.
testament to him because there's a lot of ENTPs that's just like fucking suffering around here, not realizing that a lot of their suffering is due to themselves, right? And one thing that ENTPs really struggle with is accountability. Accountability is like their kryptonite. Like I don't know, maybe it's like any can always spin it to a point to where it's not their fault. But that's just not how you grow in life. I don't think you can grow in life by spinning something else off. I don't give a damn if I'm like 100% right on something. Like I'll just be like, okay, for me to get better, I need to think about, okay, I was wrong. Okay, now if I was wrong, like how would I make this better for the future? And by doing that over time, you build yourself up. Like for me, I don't give a fuck about saying when I'm wrong. Like that's cool. I hate it. I hate it because I am very proudful, whatever. But if I'm wrong, you're wrong. If you're wrong, you're fucking wrong, man. Just fucking own it. People will give you a lot more grace with you just fucking owning that you're wrong or that you fucked up. But with those guys, even with my fucking brother, man, it's like sometimes, man, like we've had a lot of fights based on shit like that. You know.
Well, yeah, you can definitely see something with those any DOMs. A lot of the times they can pretty much what you're saying, where it's like they can conceive of like 99 different possibilities of where they're the hero and where they're the villain, and they'll just cherry pick the one where they're the hero.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you're like, how the hell did you come up with this?
Yeah.
It's like everyone's telling you to pull your head in, but you've decided to walk out of this thinking that you're the hero in the situation and not the supervillain. It's kind of weird, but
Or they'll just
yeah.
bunker down to their experience. Well, my
Mm.
experience is this, and this is what I've went through, and it's like, bro, like look around you, bro. Like that's
It's like,
not
yeah,
even like
you kicked
that's
the
not even
hornet's
what's really
nest, and
going
now
on.
you're complaining that you got stung. Like, yeah.
Man, it's just not. I mean, if you're an ENTP, like shot, like fucking remember what I said. There should be a fucking Mercer in the back of your head that says, "Get some fucking accountability," because it is very important for you to do that. Because you can go far with accountability, but if you don't, bro, you'll end up fucking alone quick. Like my brothers are like, psh, he ain't got many friends, man. He ain't got many fucking friends. And the friends that he do got, it's only a matter of time for he said, "Oh, they fucked me over." It's like some things never fucking change, bro. But yeah, and overall, I think Paul McCartney doesn't have that problem, you know, and I think it has to do with him growing up in a good home, that really supported him. Um, yeah.
Probably also being in a band also. Yeah, I mean, like,
Well, I mean, I
especially
think I
when it's
think the
like
most
equal
important
parts.
thing, I think the most important thing is always like the support in the family early on. I
Mm.
think that's just, like you can't put a price on that. Um, Especially if you get like a fucking INTJ or a fucking ENTP or ENTJ that's had like a shitty childhood, bro. It's bad. It's bad.
Mm.
It's bad. Well, I guess you could say anybody, but in general, like, whoo, whoo. I mean, you want to be honest when it's the ENTP, they start believing in this self-fulfilling prophecy that like it's always them, you know. It's the SI inferior we talked about in the ENTP breakdown. So I got a couple ENT friends that kind of go through that same shit. One of my friends, he was born by his mom being raped, And so like anything, he always kind of like is channeling this like I'm suffering type fucking self-fulfilling prophecy that he needs to suffer and like he was a rape baby and I'm just like bro, you're here. You can't change how you got here. Focus on what you can control
Mm.
and go forward. But it's like they can never let that shit go. They can never let the fucking past go. Um,
Mm.
it's quite sad, man. I'm like, bro, you're here, bro. You can do anything you want to, bro. It doesn't matter, like, how you got here. It doesn't matter. Your mom loves you. I can see if she fucking hated you, but that's not the case. So, but can't let the shit go. But yeah, Paul McCartney was a fun one. Getting some different people on the channel. He did. They mentioned somebody who I was kind of interested in typing. Fuck, but I can't even remember, man. Fuck. Can't even
What,
remember.
Lennon?
They mentioned somebody's name, and then I was like, oh, I'll be interested to know that type. Um,
The
yeah.
only big name I heard was John Lennon, basically.
Nah, it wasn't John Lennon. Um, Fuck me, can't remember. So whatever. Maybe I'll watch this video over and I'll see again. But hey guys, this was a good one. Any last things you want to say, PC?
Not particularly.
All right, guys. Well, we're out. See you guys on the next one and join our fucking Discord. We'll see you guys around.